Hey guys, thanks for tuning into another Black Ink podcast. I just wanted to quickly say that this podcast is a little bit different from my usual pods. Gabi Ghasseb was a very interesting guest that came on the show about 2 weeks ago in preparation for the candidacy for the Mayor of Bunbury in this year's 2025 Bunbury City Council elections. Upon his request, we've actually removed about 24 sections of this podcast. It's been severely edited, which is not like my usual standard of podcast. Normally it's one continuous clip from the start to the finish. We did touch on some slightly personal and intricate topics that upon his request we've taken out. So if it is a little bit jumpy all over the place, please understand that it has been edited. And let me know what you think. It's definitely an interesting podcast. I'm definitely keen to hear your thoughts and opinions on this podcast and any podcast that I post. Anyway, guys, without any further ado, Gabi Ghasseb. Gabi Ghasseb, Mayor-elect, coming on the podcast. How exciting.
Oh, very exciting, Jake. Yeah.
I asked you just before we got started, how do you feel? And you gave me an interesting answer. What's your... Well, all right, let's start from the start. How long have you been a councillor?
So this last term, 4 years, but I was on there for a couple of years, about 20 years ago.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I did resign over when they built over the cemetery.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So... All right, you're Lebanese?
Lebanese and Syrian, half.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
How? So obviously that's by your parents.
Yes.
You were born in Lebanon?
Yeah. My mum's Lebanese, my dad's Syrian, and I was born in Lebanon.
Okay, and a Christian man.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. So how old were you when you moved to Australia?
About 7.
Okay. So you're essentially...
Aussie,
Lebanese,
mate.
Syrian, Australian.
Aussie, oi.
Yeah, right. And you've been in Bunbury the whole time?
Yes, pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So explain the gap between 7 years old and getting on council, because there's got to be, there's a lifetime of experience there. And as someone who's considered running for council, it's definitely a unique position to want to have.
Yes, it is a very unique position and a very, very important position. And a position that should be taken with humility, a position of service. And I guess you have to have the calling. And we won't know until the election's held whether that calling is correct or not. But yes, it's a very critical decision for the second city in West Australia.
Yeah. Do you think that, as I said, it's interesting. Talk to me. Do you have sporting background? Do you have what's your community basis where you think that calling came from?
I think we are migrants. I still consider myself as a migrant, even after 54 years in Australia. And we came from a very disjointed part of the world. Let's say it was very insecure. And dangerous. So we are very grateful to be in Australia.
Yeah.
And I feel that I should put in whatever I can into this country, this beautiful, blessed country. And I feel like I got a lot to contribute based on experiences and the life I've lived.
Yeah.
Passion.
I was in Lebanon 2 weeks ago. I went over for, Julian from Biggie Burger.
Yeah, I know Julian very well.
Yeah, I went to his wedding.
I didn't realise that.
Yeah, it was a crazy time.
Yeah, you would have enjoyed it.
Yeah, so I understand on I'd say a lot deeper level exactly what you're saying, because the Lebanese mentality seems to be living for the moment purely because you don't know if tomorrow's coming.
Correct.
And then as much fun as we had, the sigh of relief you get landing in Perth where you're like, oh, there's so many things I don't have to worry about now, And it's just simple things like, the entire country runs off generators because there's no infrastructure as far as power is considered. And I think this was due to the power outages all the time. We didn't have a hot shower the whole time we're there. And it's these little things that you sort of don't really think twice about. But then when you're over there and you're going, cool, we have all of this, but it's actually at the cost of all of these luxuries that we take for granted in Australia. And I know, I still have the shadow of it now, where the things that would sort of roll me up or get me a little bit agitated, being in that shadow of a holiday in Lebanon, you're just that shit doesn't matter. Life is really good. Just be happy, breathe the fresh air. You know, not that everyone isn't kind in Lebanon, but like, you know, go and say hello to your neighbours and just be bloody grateful. So I do understand that like core tenet of like wanting to just put back into this so like opulent society that we take for granted.
Yes, and also, you know, prevent it from going down, sort of spiralling down out of control as well. That's the feeling, you know. We love democracy, really, and I have to say, if there's anything I appreciate in this country more than anything else, it's 100,000 young people died, mostly, to forge the democracy in Australia.
Yep.
And I always respect that. And I try to live in a democratic way, even if it means I get in trouble sometimes, to protect the dignity of those people.
Yeah, 100%. And like I touched on this at the end of Jason's pod from last week, especially I think one of the big things at the moment is, and I put it in my story this morning as well, like vote. Like, correct. We have not even like 3 generations ago, men died for us to be able to vote, to have a say about how this country, and like more importantly, how your city works, how the decisions are made. Like, educate yourself with who's trying to take these positions of power, who's trying to be part of the decision, and then have your vote as to which direction you want the city to go. But I feel like, especially like my generation and the generations below, are just like, don't care because, and purely it's not that I'm pointing the finger, but it's because candidates typically don't speak the language that they do.
Okay, yeah.
You know?
Sure, yes.
I think there's a gap between how people communicate messages and how how the thought process of a candidate operates. I was talking about this with Marina Quain yesterday as well, you know, on Sunday. And it's you know, I'm telling her these marketing ideas to me that are so simple, and she's like, "Oh, really, really?" I'm like, "Yeah, this is. What do you mean, really? Like, this is how things work." Nothing against her, but it's like for me, it's obvious because I grew up with Facebook, Instagram,
of course,
and doing the rest.
Yeah, it's natural for you. Yeah.
It is. So, like, I don't think it's a big secret that you're quite a spicy character in council. What can you tell me about that? How does it feel being Gabi whenever there's like some contention in council? I feel like, not that you're always a part of it, but you do have an opinion on it. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, look, I basically have sworn an obligation to my community to serve them without fear or favour. And I believe I'm serving the community. I've been out there, I can tell you, door knocked more than 3,000 homes and businesses, visited and door knocked more than 3,000 homes and businesses in the last 12 months alone. And some of these people are pouring their hearts out to me. Some of the people are pouring their hearts out to me about, you know, their pains and their struggles, also about their dreams and their aspirations. And for some reason, I do have a very, very strong empathy, almost uncontrollable empathy. I can't help it. So yes, and that passion comes out. Sometimes it comes out in a misunderstood way, but it's extremely passionate. It's heartfelt stuff. I'm there from the heart. Yeah. And sometimes people misinterpret that.
You would call yourself an emotional man?
I'm an emotional man because I'm driven by the heart, and I'm representing people who are, you know, many of them are suffering in our community.
Right. You have a family?
Yes, we have a family. We have 5 children. Yes.
Wow,
beautiful wife. Yes.
You're a family times 2. That's huge.
Yes, and that's also important. You know, forging a future for our young people. That's one of the things sort of drove me to get on council last time, or to nominate. And, that is our young people, mostly our young people, if they want to get tertiary education, are having to travel to Perth. And if you look at the whole region, out of 110,000 people, per capita, we're missing about 8,000 young people compared to Perth.
Okay.
We have a much higher age, I suppose, cohort. So 18 to 32-year-olds, we should have 8,000 more young people in this community. So they go to Perth for study and they get careers there and they get hooked, and only 20% return.
Yep.
So So I'm have pushed very strongly for more tertiary choices.
There is, I feel like that's part of the Bunbury life cycle.
Yeah.
You get to a certain age, you leave for work or uni or a gap year or something. And then, there's like quite, as you said, it's 20%. So a fifth of them end up back in Bunbury. And I think I'd love to know the data on like in another 10 years, how many people then return after they've had that second or third like life, if you know what I mean. They bring their new partners back to Bunbury, and then, because I feel like a lot of people who grow up here want their kids to grow up here. Bunbury, I think everyone who comes in this podcast, we all agree there's a magic to Bunbury that's sort of unexplainable.
Yes. Oh, it's a beautiful, attractive place, and when people know about it, of course they love it. But the statistics are that 80% do not return. So if they were here, having families, growing up here, having jobs here, this place would be absolutely flying. So,
as in the additional industry, the additional opportunities,
yes,
and everything that grows with population.
Yes, and I feel in a way, without being negative, I feel like Perth is like a big vacuum cleaner. So all the resources are in the regions, the wealth is in the regions, created in the regions. Our most important resource, our children, are from the region, and here comes Perth with a big vacuum cleaner every year, sucks them up, and we get a little bit back.
So what's the answer to that, do you think?
Well, one is, as I said, more tertiary choices, but greater regional investment.
Yep.
The government's put in a fair bit of money in the last few years here, but I think we should be aiming for at least $1 billion per year to invest in this region. And it's not dramatic. Yeah. It's not controversial. We just had Boer and the hospital, that's $2 billion there. But I think we need to have $1 billion per year in regional investment in this particular region alone.
Right.
And $1 billion is not as much as it used to be.
So, you're 100% right.
So we get shovel-ready projects, we attract investors, we attract government departments, we attract corporates, we attract research, we attract the IT sector, and all the growth industries, which is the new e-commerce sectors.
Yep.
And turn this place into something really, really vibrant. Almost, if you look at Geelong, it's gone really well there.
Yep.
And on the IT side, mini Silicon Valley, for example. This is ideally located for it. About the whole region becoming part of the new economy, if you like.
Yep.
And you only have to look at places like Singapore or Silicon Valley in California and model on something like that. And I have to say, developing countries are doing it better than us. So this is the weather's ideal here, and the location, the sovereign risk. It's all really ready to go. Right.
Do you think that because obviously, like the nature of population goes that we have Greater Australia's population of 100,000 if you include from Australind down to about Jallora.
Yeah.
You've got 1 million population in Perth from top to bottom. The organic nature of people coming from the southwest to Perth, that's always going to happen. Getting them either to not leave or getting them, attractive opportunities to come back down sort of sounds like the goalposts for you. You did mention Geelong just before. Has there been instances where similar populations have done this and been successful? And what were the core points that they were using to make that attractive move back down, do you think?
Yeah, look, since COVID, people have woken up and governments have woken up, businesses have woken up to the fact that the regions is where the growth is. Growth is in the region. Growth is in the regions. There's no doubt about it.
Yep.
The resources are in the regions. The wealth, 80% of Australia's wealth is created in the regions.
Yeah.
So the more you invest in infrastructure in the regions, the more we're going to get leverage in the regional, and we also get more wealth for Western Australia. Geelong is a fine example. Places over east, like you look at Cairns or Newcastle, some of those satellite major cities. North Queensland is full of regional cities there, 100,000 plus or more.
So there's enough working examples that we can sort of model this off already.
Look, it's just really a mindset and attitude. I have no doubt at all that this region, is going to go crazy. And in a way, once it happens, we need to make sure we manage it properly. There's going to be growth pains, and the opportunities in this region are unprecedented. This is where the growth is. I have done a lot of academic research in this area, and there's a lot of focus now that says we need to manage the control, I suppose, in the, say, capital cities and have backup satellite cities.
Yep.
In case of something happening, you always need a backup second city.
Yep.
Right? If there's some
cataclysmic event.
Some event.
Yeah.
Then we always need to have some backup, and that's all around the world. And yet in WA, we've got the main focus in Perth, and we've got small regional centres rather than large regional centres as they have, for example, in Queensland and New South Wales and Victoria.
Do you think that actually, before we go there, I want to agree with you. I think you made a really good point there. Bunbury to me is this almost, I don't want to say untapped because it is, like, people do know about it, but the potential in Bunbury is crazy.
It is.
Like, I started with just a basic idea of not wanting to have a boss 5 years ago. And for anyone who's followed the Black Ink story, the Outfit Co story, it's been, amongst a lot of failures, win to win to win to win to win. There are people here that do have money to spend, business to business. There are people here that do have an extra $50 to $300 a week to spend, whether it's going out, getting new clothes, dinners, whatever it might be. A lot of people who don't as well. But as far as like starting a business and like really, if you put your searching eyes to search for opportunity, you'll find it. And I think that, like, I have friends, I have people, strangers that ask me about, business opportunities in Bunbury. Solve a problem and monetize it, because I feel like the trajectory from Bunbury, from my point of view, might be wrong, but from my point of view, has been there are increasing opportunities the longer time goes on. Whether or not that ties into population, which is what you're talking about, or whether that ties into just me getting better at looking for those opportunities and finding them, I don't know. Typically, luck seems to increase the harder you work, and I've been working harder and harder as time goes on. But yeah, I think, like, I definitely agree with you as far as like the potential for growth and opportunity in Bunbury is almost like unrecognized.
Yes.
What's coming to mind is, before we get too deep into it, what do you think the role of being mayor is? What is it to you?
Well, the official role is to basically be the chairman of the council, or chairperson of the council, and represent the people in decisions. So we are basically the conduit that will transform people's aspirations into hopefully reality. The mayor has a greater role than that. They can certainly direct and advocate. They can go to Canberra, they can go to Perth, to Parliament House, and mix it with the people that make the big financial decisions. So in a way, I would see the mayor as leading a council into look, the mayor's role is multifaceted, but one of the roles is to lead council into making Bunbury a great city, probably the greatest regional city in Western Australia, and that's quite possible, right? It sounds a little bit far-fetched at this moment, but we are situated such that it's very, very possible. If you look at Queensland, Victoria, New South Wales, all those three places, they have nothing compared to us in terms of resources, and yet they have massive regional cities. In Western Australia, we've got this massive state, unlimited resources, and we've got one capital city. We need another, I suppose, regional capital city, and we've got the resources to build something like that. We are the backbone of the Australian national economy. I think 70% of Australia's exports comes from WA.
Yeah.
and we've still only got these little pocket satellite cities.
Yep.
So in my view, a mayor should consider making Bunbury a massive regional city, and it's got that potential.
Right.
And it's very, very possible. It really is possible.
And you think you are a suitable person that can take it from where we are to where you envision it could be?
I'll give it a crack. I'll give it a crack, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I found it really interesting. I was saying to Jason on the podcast, I didn't even really ask him. He just sort of brought it up. And I'm not saying to A and B against each other.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm just like, this is my perception as someone who talks to people. He, without bringing it up, said like, and I'm the one for the job. Da 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 da. Here's what it is. X, Y, and Z. And it immediately occurred to me that he had no doubt.
Yeah.
And I think as someone who sets impossible goals,
sure,
and then expects them to happen. Like I'm not surprised when the crazy shit happens to me anymore because I asked for it and it was given to me, and now it's my job to navigate it. That sort of like, what would you call it? Confidence, like sureness of self, is something that does resonate to success.
Sure.
But you said something previously before that also sort of ignites something in me. You said you're called to do it. You're a man of faith. And I think there's something to a calling that you don't essentially have to understand how you're going to do it or how it's going to piece together for you. You just have to put yourself in the position and something will take care of the rest for you, whether you see that as your creator or the universe or God, whatever it might be. Is that something that resonates with you, do you think?
Well, yes. I am certainly a person of faith, and that faith is having a belief in the creator of the universe, where all things are possible. All things are possible. What is impossible for me or man is possible for God, right? And we maybe as humans like to think we can plan and the plans will come to fruition. Right? We all planned just before COVID to retire, and people didn't retire.
Yeah.
So in a way, a Jewish friend of mine told me once, he said, we were talking about plans. He said, man plans and God laughs. So I feel that I should be taking whatever God's leading me to, and I think the outcome of that will be far greater than any person can plan. And in my intuition, my gut feel says that this region is going to go crazy. It's going to go through the roof. There's unlimited potential in this place. And if I get elected, and I know I'm the sub-underdog in this election, I'm aware of that, but if I get elected, I really believe strongly, whether it's through faith or instinct, that this place has got scope to be a major regional city in Western Australia, greater than Geelong, greater than Cairns, greater than Newcastle, right? And it'll be great for our community to be able to be born here, people in our community be born here, grow up here, study here, work here, and eventually retire here. And of course, what comes after that, not having to be forced to leave Bunbury to go and get an education. I think that's very unjust.
Yeah.
Breaking families up and then one day possibly coming back. That is our biggest constraint, is our biggest opportunity.
Yeah, it's definitely a I feel like the underlying story of the Bible, that's too broad. I believe one of the underlying stories of the Bible is the leaving the nest, having a battle, defeating the battle, and then coming back.
Yes.
And I feel like there's something so organically contextual to the story of Bunbury, because all of my majority of my business friends have that same story that you're talking about. You know, you sort of get to 18, and even if it's not for study, you're just sort of like, oh, I need to go see things, I need to go do things. The exact same thing that pushed me to go to Lebanon to go to Julian's wedding was, even if it's just to leave Bunbury for a week and come back, it's worth it. You know, I spent a month in Colombia 6 years ago, just went by myself. Just don't know anyone there. I'm just going to see what it's about. Spend a month in Colombia. You go, you come back. I did it when I was 18. I went and lived in Europe for a year. I did it sort of differently throughout my 20s in little bits and pieces. But at the same time, I understand your point of view as far as education. Education as a reason is unjust to be pulling families apart, especially if it means potentially, and this as a father, potentially losing your child to Perth or to Melbourne or to fill in the gap. What do you know about AI?
Just before you go on, look, this is about going travelling. That's fine. I agree with that. Everybody should travel. I can tell you, I've travelled a lot, but it's good to have a base. You can have Bunbury as a base, and travel wherever you want. As far as education, people say, yes, it's good for kids to go and live in Perth or Melbourne or whatever, and get educated there.
Yep.
Now, the statistics say this. In Perth, 50% of school leavers do tertiary education. That's half. In Bunbury region, it's 16%, right?
Okay.
Less than a third of children in Bunbury get tertiary education than they do in Perth. There's a lot of factors. I won't get into it here. The other thing, people say, oh, yes, good for kids to go. And it's great. Why don't we have education choices in Bunbury where kids in Perth can come, leave their homes and come and study here somewhere, that's good for them. Or international students.
Yeah, for sure.
So AI, what do I know about AI? I use a little bit of ChatGPT.
Yeah.
But AI is basically at the cusp of a parabolic curve. And that's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. I think it's fantastic, very powerful, very useful tool. At the same time, I also view that it's going to basically replace the human heart in a way, right? I'm going to write a letter. I could write it from the heart, or I could tell ChatGPT to write it for me, and it's no longer from the heart. Mental health, without being negative, I think it's going to cause some serious mental health issues if we mismanage AI. And so, it's very powerful. At the same time, there's pros and cons.
Yeah. I think you've hit all the keynotes there for sure. Working backwards, AI replaced, backwards, the stranglehold on the human experience that technology gives us is kind of crazy. Like AI is taking our critical thinking. Social media has taken our community. I mean, the screen has taken our dinners from us. The car has taken our transport from us. Like if you work your way back, but it's also part of the human experience. I mean, the reason that we don't live in stone castles and we live in brick houses is because humans want to evolve. They want to get better. At what point do we put a full stop and go, we're as better and best as we're going to be? And I don't want any more, because I feel like you're right. AI is one of those things where, instead of me sitting there going like, how do I politely tell this customer that they need to provide this for me? I'm like, ChatGPT, tell Shelley that her logo sucks and I need it in this format. And it's like, hey, Shelley did it. And you're like, cool, copy and paste. For every time I don't exercise that part of my brain, and I get worse at telling customers how to do things politely. It's one of the benefits of the podcast. I get to sit here and talk and practice talking to people every week, which is a human thing that we've forgotten how to do. Most people can't sit down and talk for longer than 10 minutes without having to check their fucking phone. Like, what are you doing? Just relax. So, yeah, the reason I ask is because we're talking about education, and I feel that AI, as it develops and as it gets to the scary end of the exponential growth that it's going to experience as it teaches itself and progresses, we're probably going to have less need for education because we're going to have less people doing technical jobs. I feel like the jobs that AI won't take is like emptying the rubbish. The jobs that AI won't take are the real, like, emotional based and physical, like technical physical things. Even when that's said, I mean, I saw an AI robot doing washing the other day. So and like taking it out of the basket and separating it and putting the whites into it, and you're like, oh, I didn't think it would be able to do it that soon. And if that's the case, what does it look like in 12 months' time? I just wonder, these things that people spend 4 years learning how to do, AI is going to learn how to do it in 30 seconds. We're going to give our x-rays to AI and say, where's the bone broken and what should we do?
Yes. Yeah, spot on.
Scary.
Yes, it is. I have to say, I think AI is going to take the soul out of people. And in a way, not taking the positives out of it. There are positives. On the opposite side, though, we've already got a mental health epidemic.
Yeah.
Right. So as we go along with AI, as it's going through parabolic curve, there'll be less requirement for us to use our brain, less requirement for us to communicate directly, and probably not many people pick this up. There's going to be less love. And people, to function, if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the basic requirement, the bottom of the pyramid is love. And I think AI may replace that, where, and part of love is communication.
Yeah.
And if you look at breakups, for example, conflict, the communication, direct person to person communication is lacking.
Yeah.
And it's gone through third parties. Now it's going to go through AI. And, the trigger there could be, could be unfathomed, if you like. We don't know where it's going to head.
Yeah.
And already you go out to dinner. Everyone knows you're sitting at a dinner table and everybody's on their, phones.
Yeah.
And not talking to each other, but they're actually talking to each other through messages.
Yeah.
On the same table. So it's pretty serious stuff. At the same time, I'm full of hope.
I think when Henry Ford developed the, what do you call it? Something line? Production line. When Henry Ford developed the production line, I don't think he ever imagined a Tesla. I don't think he ever imagined it would be so advanced that it would drive itself. And there's something that, like, the hope that I have, because you're right, I think the negatives outweigh the positives in this particular conversation, but I have hope that the same way the Tesla does drive you somewhere and then you can get all these other things done while you're traveling and it's, laden with positive things, I do hope that there's something there that at the outcome we can't fathom right now, but it will present itself when the time is right. I also believe that AI might be the bloody Antichrist. I don't know. Again, it's one of the... How do you feel about that? Do you think that could be a possibility?
However, we are going into certainly uncharted waters where I feel the soul has almost been removed out of people. And, take, for example, a simple call to a bank, say 10 years ago, to a call to the bank 10 years from now. 10 years ago was flexibility. Yes, we can fix something up. This account's wrong. 10 years' time, that's it.
Yeah, the answer's the answer.
The answer. There's no flexibility. End of story. And if you got an issue, you can't go and argue with an AI decision.
Yeah.
And but who knows? AI in 10 years' time, it's something what will be in 10 years' time is something that we've probably not even imagined yet.
Yeah.
What I do know is people who are experts in the industry who create this stuff,
they're scared.
Us consultants, they are, and they were scared, and they've gone quiet now. But when it was all first coming out, they really warned the world. This is pretty serious stuff, and these are pretty serious people.
Yeah, I do know 2 years ago when council elections were on. Obviously, there was talk about me running for council, and I was trying to understand what the position was and whether I was a good fit and all the rest. And I remember, I forget who it was, maybe I had Ben Andrew on or someone, and I was just saying, look, man, I honestly think in 2 years' time, AI is going to be a serious part of council. And if that's the case, what good does at the time, 30-year-old opinion really add to the conversation when I don't really know what the job of being on council is? We're 2 years down the track and that hasn't quite happened yet. I know there are governments in the world that have AI input, that they have particular positions filled by AI. And I think that's just step one. I think what happens is they, do the job. You don't have to pay them. You're paying a subscription. And then more and more of those positions will be filled by a hopeful level playing field as far as opinion is considered, taking into account everyone's, because at the end of the day, I mean, you're trying in council and as mayor, you're trying to understand what everyone's point of view is, get an average and make decisions based off that average, right? You try not to upset too many people and trying to keep the most amount of people happy as possible. You're also a human who has feelings and opinions and stuff going on, which we all do. So I think the AI, the way you would sell AI in that position is like, well, this thing doesn't sleep. This thing doesn't have things going on, doesn't have a parent who's sick, doesn't have a neighbor who's got a dog that barks and all these things. So it's like it may be.
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether, having served the council recently for 4 years and represented a lot of people, numerous people with little issues that may have fallen through the cracks. And in doing that, there was empathy in the responses, certainly from the councillors and from the administration in helping people resolve their little issues.
Yep.
Which to them probably are big issues. But that empathy, I don't know whether it'll be there if we're going to just rely on AI to solve people's problems. I feel it's going to be black and white. People with little issues, are going to say, well, it's not even worth trying because we're dealing with effectively a machine. It's going to say, no, forget it. And so that flexibility.
I think there's a lot of people now that don't try because their Facebook comments don't get heard, so they think the council just doesn't operate in an effective way.
Okay, yeah.
But also that's a completely anecdotal point of view. I just know there are people that have a lot to say on Facebook and you're like, dude, go to a council meeting. That's where the people actually, I don't know how many Facebook comments you're reading, but that's not where councils are making decisions. It's not in the Southwest Community Board pin-up page. It's the meetings on Tuesday night at the chamber, The chambers, is that right? Are the chambers?
Yeah, council chambers, yeah.
Yeah, I do. I hear what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. Talk to me about, you mentioned before you're an underdog in this race. What does that feel like? What's your experience there?
Well, I do feel I'm the sub-underdog.
Sub-underdog. What
Yes.
does that mean, sorry?
Well, not just an underdog, even lower than that. I mean, I'm a very realistic person.
Okay.
But it doesn't stop me from fighting a good fight, running the race as if to win.
Yeah.
Right? And I think you know where that comes from, that verse. So let's go back a little bit in history because you mentioned about, between 7 and now. Well, we came from Lebanon. My dad was from Syria. We were received amazingly in Australia back in East Bunbury. I don't know if you remember Ristos and people like that.
Yeah.
We lived, across the road, and people were so generous. They helped our parents, get work, and they gave us, old beds and things like that.
Yep.
So it's something that never leaves us. Then we went through. My parents worked very hard. We studied, that sort of stuff, and we, did well. They had a pizza shop, and we left an old country, and we came to a new country. And we had a very tight, and we still have a tight knit family. Then we ended up going to Lebanon, Syria, and there in Syria I met Rita. So within 10 days we were engaged.
Really?
Within 10 days we were engaged.
Yeah.
Another 5 days we were married.
Is that Lebanese culture? Like quick engagements, quick marriages?
It's not unusual. Probably not so much now. But that after the forgiveness, if you like, he just brought unlimited blessings. So after losing everything before, ended up forgiving, meeting my beautiful wife. We were blessed with 5 children, blessed with everything that comes with it. I won't go into too much details. One blessing after another. So, and that forgiveness is advice I give to everybody, that they should forgive. Otherwise, you can end up, in a pretty dark place. So forgiveness releases blessings.
Do you feel that, I'm asking because this is somewhat extremely relevant for me at the moment, do you feel that through forgiveness you can completely expel all of that like darkness in you? Do you think that when someone does something that is so bad that it does cause you to manifest that darkness, like I feel like the few things that I've been, like I've just had to go, the only way I can deal with this is with forgiveness, because if I don't, I'm going to do something that will have to cause someone else to find forgiveness for me, right? And
Sure, yeah.
I feel that even then it's like trying to get the dirt out of the corners of the soles of your shoe that you can't get out.
Yes.
You know?
Well, for me, forgiveness wasn't a voluntary thing. I had to do it. But certainly, without forgiving, you can get into deeper trouble. There's no doubt about that. And if you want to go back into, so referencing the good book, it says you have to forgive others if you want to be forgiven. You will not be forgiven yourself if you haven't forgiven others.
Yeah.
And even after the Lord's Prayer, it says, "For if you forgive others, your Heavenly Father will forgive you. If you don't forgive others, your Heavenly Father will not forgive you." So it's a pretty critical message.
It's so hard though, you know?
However, forgiveness or lack of forgiveness is, how would you say it? Keeps you in trouble.
Yeah, well, it definitely causes you to harbour that darkness at the very least.
Yes.
And then your decisions are jaded by darkness. Your perspective of your life is jaded by darkness. And all of a sudden you're living a bad life because of this. And that's, like one of the significant events that happened to me was like I just found that like after the event, like everything was affected by it. And nothing had anything to do with it, the event. And it wasn't until like the only option I have is to just forgive this person and what they did. And even now, like, I go past where the event happens and I just, like I've forgiven to the best of my ability, but I still have this like,
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I get you. I really get you. It's not an easy thing to forgive. And people think it's just, oh yeah, I'm going to say I'll forgive you and that's it. It's not. It's not that easy.
Yeah,
but
you literally have to sit with it. You have to like absolutely, even the exercised isn't the right word. The practice of prayer. Like the practice of prayer, like this has changed so significantly for me in the past. Like I would say 3-4 years where I was raised Catholic. And then just completely rebelled and went against it because I was just like, it doesn't give me any of the answers. It just seems like a set of rules and just like a story that creates this weird structure around your life. And it's only later that I found that it's like a guide and the structure is more of like stepping stones that you can take. And that's really not as much Catholicism, but what Christianity offers me.
Yes.
And a major tenet of Christianity is obviously prayer and understanding what prayer actually is. And of course, it's going to be something different for every Christian, I believe. It's going to be a little bit different, so you can feel free to disagree with me if you don't feel the same. But for me, prayer is a conversation with my Creator that I have in thanks and gratitude and appreciation. And on the other side of that, it's what I can call to expect from the universe if I do everything that I'm meant to do. So if I follow the rules and if I play the game And if I'm, and playing the game, following the 10 commandments, for example, it's like not actively going against the 10 rules that are set, and then saying, well, not in return as if it's transactional, but as understanding the process and almost the pattern of life. Here's what I would love, or here's what I think I would appreciate to get out of this experience. And it starts simple, like I'd love to grow old. I'd love to outlive my parents. I'd love to be healthy. I'd love to have great experiences. I'd love to share. I'd love to be able to experience opulence and abundance with the people that I love, my neighbours and my community, the further on it goes. I'd love to be able to actively tend to the garden that I can reach. And then on top of that, I'd love a Porsche GT3 RS in baby blue, And I know very, very, what do you call it? Like it's a thing. It's not really like but from everything from feelings to things, here's what I would like. And through that practice of prayer, you get to dig into the character that is you and go, well, if I could be anything, what would I be? And I've learned through the experience of having that event that I'm talking about that I would like to be someone who can forgive.
Forgiveness is the most solid, basic tenet of faith. And it's so important. It really is so important. Interestingly, we're talking about different cultural perspectives. We're talking about future plans and that sort of stuff. And you'll see in my flyer, I've got a huge amount of future plans, 2035 vision, that sort of stuff. It's good to have aims. Cultures, Eastern cultures versus Western cultures. Western cultures have what they call uncertainty avoidance.
Okay.
Right?
Uncertainty avoidance.
Yeah, so we want to plan.
Right.
50 years ahead, this is what's going to happen tomorrow, this is what's going to happen in 10 weeks, what's going to happen in 3 years and so on. Uncertainty avoidance is called, and it gives the West, I suppose, cohort reassurance. Eastern or developing, I suppose, Eastern cultures or older cultures, they have what they call fatalistic culture, where if God is willing, this will happen. And they merge somewhere in the middle. I'm personally in the middle, where we'll do the uncertainty avoidance part. We plan. At the same time, we know that things aren't in our control 100%, unless the universe, you call it universe, is with you. To me, unless God is willing.
Yeah.
And if you go with God, then the potential and the outcomes are much more leveraged, much more dramatic, if you like, much more scope, because you're not going against the grain. And opportunities come out of nowhere. And if you overplan, and if you don't have flexibility in your plan, then you'll miss the opportunities.
You choke opportunities.
Correct. So anyway, that's I was going to continue the story. So when we got married, we came here and we had 5 children. And my wife was from Syria. And 2011, prior to that, every time we had a child, her mother would come and visit.
Yep.
Catholic lady, beautiful Catholic lady. And then 2011, Syrian war. So it was pretty, it wasn't very nice. The kids would say, don't let mum go, she'll get killed.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I had an army of friends not wanting me to go to Lebanon now.
Lebanon's safe now, but it's not too bad. We've wanted to go for a couple of times. We had to cancel. Kids our kids have not had the opportunity to see their grandparents and cousins and uncles and aunties. So I guess the point where I'm getting to is that life experience gives you, in my particular, I suppose, life experience, has provided more than anything else empathy for people, right? Empathy towards people, right? So, and that empathy is so strong that you'll do anything to help them.
Yeah.
So it's a major driver.
Yep.
Empathy, love, forgiveness. So so we go back to focus on, mayor or councillor or that sort of position. To me, it's not. It's a major job. It's a major task, but using the life experience, it's something I think that would be valuable to a role like that.
Yeah.
And that sort of life experience, besides the academic experience, the business experience, and the social experience, which I do have qualifications in all those.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the life experience, where you've experienced the worst, you've seen people experience the worst, can only add to value in serving the community.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's you can't learn that in AI or university. It is the university of life's experience.
Yeah, 100% the school of hard knocks.
Yeah. Yes, I guess that's the way to put it.
What do you like? What's some of the things that you're hearing more than once when you're talking to the people of Bunbury, as far as like their concerns go?
Sure. So I've in the last 12 months, I've visited and door knocked about 3,000 homes and businesses. And when I first started the intensity of the door knocking, the three highest priorities, or from feedback I was getting, is homelessness, CBD condition, I suppose, how businesses are closed and it's tired, and the third one was rates.
Okay.
More recent month, certainly more recent, say 1 month, so I'm still door knocking.
Yeah.
The highest one that's coming up now is the rates.
Yeah.
Right, and I've door knocked many houses or even retirement villages, care villages, and people living there, the seniors, saying to me, after paying $1,000 per fortnight in rent, we've got $120 left to live on. And some of them just not using the heaters, that sort of thing.
Yep.
And they're really scraping by. So, I've got many others, but they're the top three if you really want to focus on three.
All right. Let's talk about rates, because I think the through line here is talking to the people, hearing the concerns of the people, getting the job, making a change. So what is a plausible thing that a voter could anticipate from you if you were given the position, voted into the position, to affect rates in Bunbury?
Okay, so as a elected member, by law, we have a fiduciary duty, and that is to look after the funds of the community in the best way we can. So I suppose if we are caretakers of other people's funds, then we need to make sure it's spent the best way. So this is not to say that council hasn't been doing that. I can't criticise council. So in the future, I would be saying, right, inflation is 2.8%. I believe that the rates should not go up by more than 2.8%. I would personally, if I could, I would put a cap on rates to be either below or at maximum inflation rate.
Is that something that the mayor can do?
No, it's a council vote.
Right.
But I would, maybe I'll say it in a different way. I would advocate for a rate rise not greater than inflation.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a yearly percentage, isn't it?
So I need to clarify that it's the mayor or the council can't, or councillors individually can't say we don't want this. And sorry, let's take that one step back. Setting the rate is a decision by full council.
Right. Yeah.
But each elected member can speak their mind as to what the rate should be.
Mm-hmm.
In my view, in future considerations, if I'm still on council, that is, I would be, as I've always done, only support rates that only go up to inflation or less.
Right.
Because if we put, in my view, if we put rates higher than inflation, then that has a ripple effect. The businesses down the road will have to go and find money higher than inflation. So they have to put their prices up to make up for that gap.
Yep.
Or the people renting or the people owning homes. So that to me makes sense. Over East, Victoria, for example, the state government sets a limit on the
rate increase.
Rate increase, and that generally has been close to inflation.
All right. So educate me here if I'm assuming incorrectly. With power rates, the rates go into a big pool, into a bank account, and then that bank account pays for things like the roads being fixed and the street being cleaned and utilities being available, resources being available. Is there, because what we're talking about at the moment is sort of the other side of that situation. We're going, right, the amount of what the rate is going to be is not going to be increased past a certain point. On the flip side of that, is there not a more, I mean, obviously there is a whole conversation around the budget and how efficiently that money can be spent. We've seen things like the business rubbish removal go from, being paid for by the ratepayer to now being paid for by the business. Is there room in there to fiddle with that? Is that a council thing or is that like a city thing? How the money is actually spent from where our rates go to? Yeah,
it's in the budget where the rates are allocated, whether it's staff or machinery or insurances or power. I think one facility alone we pay, or you pay $1 million per year.
Wow.
So there's opportunities. In my view, I can only speak for myself, opportunities to look at alternatives to rate-only increases to fund the budget. There's opportunities, for example, to get more funding, external funding, right? Quite often we have to match the funding.
Yep.
So there's opportunities to look at, I think I moved an amendment a few years ago, about 3 years ago, that we look at joining some other local shires and get a federal grant, which was available then, I think still is, renewable energy grants.
Oh, okay.
And put up a solar farm.
Yep.
Buy a block of land somewhere, put up a solar farm.
Yep.
And get some of this funding you get the funding from the federal government, which was available. And then set up a renewable energy farm, right, solar, and to offset the power consumption costs.
Take advantage of some of that natural...
Yeah, take advantage of it, but it's also take advantage of the grant funding.
For sure.
When private businesses are doing it.
Yeah, why not have the business of the city take advantage of it as well, especially with an amalgamated effort from other councils as well.
It's something I would love to have done. We look at we need to look at innovative ways to fund the budget basically, and I call it non-ratepayer opportunities.
Yeah,
I think the ratepayers would be very appreciative of that.
I think that's what I'm asking is like there seems to be the transaction is, to live, to do the thing, you need to pay rates. Cool. Rates go into a pool and then that pool is spent on all the stuff. It's like, is there anywhere, because obviously the amount of stuff we need continues to grow. the place gets bigger, there's more houses, there's more families, there's all the rest. You need more resources, the rates need to go up. Usually with more houses has more rates coming in, right? I guess what I'm trying to say is like, where's there an injection point where you can go, we can actually get, whether it's federal funding or state funding or whatever for this particular thing, that offsets the amount of rates? Because the rates are never going to go backwards, they're only going to increase.
Yeah. I know other councils in the past have had, I suppose, what's the right term, funding officers or people who would go and look for grant funding.
Right, that's their sole responsibility. Yes,
I think we've got an economic development team now.
Yep.
So that's one. Two is it would be very healthy for every 3 or 4 years to have a look at the operations, see if there's any efficiency opportunities.
Yeah.
Right. There's another one. Rates, collecting rates. If you've got a static population and increasing expenditure, then the population that you're collecting the money off is going to be under pressure.
Yeah.
Be hit by higher rates. So increasing the population, and one way I thought about it is that we increase. Again, these are my own thoughts. In the end, it's council decision. Increase the density.
Yeah.
One thought I was thinking maybe we should push for doubling Bunbury's density across the whole town, across the whole city.
The whispers of high rises on the main street, I keep hearing it. I keep hearing build up on the main street. You put more people in the heart of Bunbury. You by just natural progression, you're going to have more small businesses want to be there because there's, instead of, me going into Julie's and getting pizza, if you've got 100 people that live in a building, or 100's quite conservative, but a number of people living in a building that are popping down to get pizza and go back up, it's like you've got just a whole bunch of customers essentially, or, a mini economy in that building. I reckon that sounds exciting for Bunbury.
Look, we just simply need more population, and revert back to what I was saying earlier on, that the opportunities here are massive, and it's the cart before the horse. $1 billion investment by state government and federal government per year in this region the government will get a good return back on investment, because the investing in infrastructure, that infrastructure has the potential to increase the wealth through more production.
Yeah, of course.
Okay? And so I think investing in Perth for governments, you get a one-on-one return.
Yep.
And these are statistics I pulled out. Investing in infrastructure in regional areas, you get 3-to-1 return.
Wow.
It's 300% return.
Yeah.
I think people are waking up to that, right? So we need more. We definitely need more investment in the regions. Right? So I was at one of the eating houses at a wedding the other day, and we were looking out the back over the water. Amazing infrastructure, amazing geography, attractive locations. You know what was missing, Jake?
Tell me.
People.
Yeah, true. Good point.
That was Fremantle. It would be packed.
Yeah.
Or Hillary's. So
yeah, I mean so
jobs will bring people. Tertiary education will bring people. Investment by state and federal governments will bring people. And I'm not saying they haven't invested already. And one thing most of us keep overlooking is the port, right?
Yeah.
The Bunbury port is generating wealth for this region.
Yeah, a crazy amount of wealth for sure.
Yeah. So and high rises, of course, that would be I guess part of my vision is to build up the CBD with we start off with a multi-storey car park, have mixed use down the bottom, and then residential upstairs at the top. But that all comes with trying to build the vibrancy, whether it's tech hub, more university choices, retirement villages.
Yep.
Right. So it's all very possible. I think it's going to happen, yeah.
I think it will happen. I think the growth of Bunbury will happen regardless of leadership. It's just the rate of which that growth is going to happen. Let's go back to the three things. We've touched on rates. Talk to me about homelessness. I know you've just recently spent a night. What's it called? A night going
Sleep out.
Sleep out for a night. Yeah. How was that experience? Where were you positioned for that night?
Well, go back a little bit more. 20 years ago, I was on council. I did a sleep out back then, and homelessness was an issue back then, believe it or not.
Okay.
It wasn't to the same extent, and some of us advocated for more relief for homelessness back then. And I think post-COVID, homelessness seems to have hit the whole world. Yeah. Not just Bunbury.
For sure.
To be fair to state and federal governments, we're not unique, but we got to do our bit in the local area. So yes, I slept out. How was it? If anything came out of the whole thing is how women and children are sleeping out, and they can't close the door for security. That was probably the biggest profound thing that came out of that. You're sleeping outside and you have no security.
Yeah. What was the did you communicate with other people who were doing it rough that night at all?
No, I just did it myself.
Very, very solitude.
Oh, sorry. Did I go and see other? I went around several places because I wasn't comfortable in one place. So I went and drove in the car, went to another location. Someone said, "Oh, you really need to sleep under the lights." That wasn't comfortable. Then another person said, "No, you really should be sleeping in the bushes in case someone comes,
and sees you."
Yeah. And where the lights are, there's cameras. So I guess different people have different locations. If they're maybe scared, they go and hide somewhere. It wasn't a comfortable thing.
Yeah, no, I can imagine
it wasn't comfortable.
Yeah.
But it was only one night too.
Yeah.
So imagine doing it for 3 years or 50 years. The homelessness is a big one for me.
I think the scary part about homelessness is I think there's a threshold where the character gets so calloused that even if there is opportunities to go back, it's almost like a certain amount of damage gets done to the spirit, and you sort of see people with homes as the enemy. I don't know because I've never had this experience. I haven't communicated with anyone that's having this experience or has had this experience. But I just feel like I try and be as nice to everyone as I can. Everyone from, A to Z. And sometimes I feel like when I throw out a "Hey, how are you?" to someone who's having that experience, it's not met with the same energy. Yeah. And again, I don't know where that comes from because I've never had that experience and I don't know what that experience is. I'm uncomfortable talking about it. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's hard to talk about.
Look, I understand. To answer the previous question, I constantly and frequently interact with homeless people, right? And I have to say, looking around sometimes, not just Bunbury, where I see homeless tents set up, things like that. It reminds me when we visited Lebanon, the refugee camp in Zahli. I don't know if you've been there. No. It reminded me of that. I thought, hang on, this is Australia.
Yeah.
And here I am having visions of, seeing a refugee camp. Homelessness breaks people. Maslow's hierarchy of needs requires shelter, safety, food as the basis. Without that, you can't build anything else in your life.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a home or safety or shelter, you're a broken person. People are broken. And, I'll give you some statistics. I think 46% of people seeking homelessness assistance are women as a result of domestic violence. And one that really is driving me, statistic, again, these are government statistics, homeless people die 22 to 33 years younger than home people. So that's, a quarter of their life given away because they're homeless. And I find that profound.
what do you think the role? What do you think of the role that obviously mental health and narcotics plays in this topic? Because I think there's a line in the sand between those who are, especially women and children who are escaping domestic violence. I can 100% sympathise with that situation, and that is something that if I had a personal relationship with someone who's going through that, which I have had, you do everything you can to help. Sometimes everything you can is just being polite, and sometimes everything you can is like food, money, temporary shelter, whatever it might be. The other line in the other side of that line in the sand is seemingly, as I say, like I dance around this topic because I just don't know how to politely say it, but people by choice who continue to fuel mental health issues with drugs and alcohol, and then almost like evade the system through like enjoying it. And yeah. I don't like that they're both covered under the topic of homelessness because they're very different experiences.
Yeah, it's we need to be cautious about stereotyping, right? As I said, I have spent a lot of time in the homelessness industry, I suppose if you like. So one guy caught up with the other day, a gentleman who's homeless, standing there, and he's got a bottle of Plonk. He was having a drink. I said, "Why are you drinking?" Right? He said it was to kill the pain. I had no answer to that. I really had no answer. This is a broken person, no home, nothing. Sure, I guess he's drinking by choice, but if there's a sick person who's in pain in hospital, they're taking prescribed medication to kill the pain, this is what this guy's doing. He's killing the pain. He was in deep pain.
Yeah. Again,
and there's people who, yes, of course, that are broken out there. I'll tell you this. I will not mention any names. Will not mention any names. And I gave a card, my business card, council card, to a gentleman who was homeless some time ago. About 2 weeks later, he sent me a text message, right, with a photo on it. He had a noose around his neck. He said, "I'm looking for the closest tree." Right? And so I'm a counsellor. I have a duty of care. And here I'm getting these text messages. And in a roundabout, we sort of dealt with it. I won't give you the details. And then 2 a.m, I'm sleeping in bed. My wife's there. We're getting calls from this gentleman who's, he's desperate. We do get all sorts of contacts from community members, and it's an obligation that we do accept those contacts. But some of these things put us in a very tight situation. When a person basically is saying he's going to kill himself, he's calling our family 2 a.m. What are we supposed to do? And I have to say, ended up in the end, took him around to various organisations, including the mental health section of the hospital there. And I said to the admitting nurse, "Look, please help this gentleman. Councillor Ghasseb, sorry, there's hundreds like that."
Yeah.
Of course, I couldn't get him accommodation.
Yeah.
Having said that, I don't want to detract from the fact that the state government and the federal government are doing whatever they can. Making a concerted effort to help, right? So I don't want to criticise them.
Yeah. You mentioned it earlier, post-COVID, the homeless situation is just something else, And obviously, like I did mention before, there's two, generalised experiences of homelessness that I'm aware of, and I'm very uneducated. I print T-shirts for a living, don't listen to me. That has come from everything is more expensive. People aren't getting paid the percentage more that they need to keep up with what they were doing before, and now luxuries have turned into extreme luxuries. People have gone from like having a little bit, especially like, I'm 32, the generation after me, like they're never going to own homes. Unless they really start early and go, oh, there's a massive problem. And if I don't start learning how to save half of my paycheck from 14 years old until I'm 21 and enter the housing market with the cheapest possible shitbox I can afford and then leverage off that into the future, the likelihood of ever owning a home is significantly low unless they have something that's going to be passed down to them. With that in mind, I mean, that fact alone, compounding through the average experience of the Australian citizen now, it's like, yeah, you are going to have more people that end up in situations of need and potentially on the street. I think I've spoken about this on and off camera with multiple people, and there is no answer to it, you know. Obviously, you know, you say there's hundreds of people in that situation that are, you know, having a mental health crisis and they need help and they don't get it because there's just not enough beds, there's not enough seats, there's not enough professionals. The government can do everything they possibly can do and still not keep up. You know, like the ballooning effect of the economy, you know, going rotten, I guess you could say, very slowly with inflation and everyone trying to do their best effort, but essentially the rich getting richer and the poor staying, and the middle class growing. I'm not going to say poor getting poorer, but the middle class growing, and more people are slipping through the gaps into the class below that, you know? And I mean, Lebanon's a perfect example of it. I went there and rubbed shoulders with literal billionaires. I met billionaires for the first time, and you're like, this is crazy. And then you go back into normal society and you're like, the other 80% don't live anything like that, you know?
Yeah, correct. The divide is growing. So in terms of, I suppose, accommodation, I think the West, or Australia and the Western world, because this is across the West, we have to pivot from building or constructing housing to producing housing in factories. So modular, off the conveyor belt and plunk them in. It's impossible to, in my view, continue to go back one step. It's going to be more possible to house people through that process than to try to build them up brick by brick.
For sure, you render quicker results with prefab, 100%.
Yeah, so modular is going to be the way, and maybe a higher density. Otherwise, you're right. People are going to miss out either owning or actually having accommodation.
Oh, yeah, dude, owning is out of the picture. The next thing is like your 18-year-olds who want to leave home and get a rental for the first time. Well, now you're in line with 100 other people for that rental. Now that rental is double the price of what you're anticipating. I was saying this on the podcast with Jason. When I first moved out of my parents' house and looked at a rental, our price range was like $280 to $350, and we could have had half a Bunbury. And you just pick and choose. I want to live in Kerry Park. I want to live in South. I want to live in East Park. You could pick wherever you want. If you want to pay $180 a week, you live with us. You know what I mean? Like, you could literally pick and choose. And now, like, I remember when we moved out of a caravan 4 years ago, by pure luck, it was a miracle. We got a cash rental through a private lease and at an affordable rate. That is, I purely class that as a miracle, because if that had not happened then, this would not be happening right now.
Yeah, well, the situation out there is pretty rough. As you know, I have been door knocking a lot. Not long ago, probably about a week ago, this guy answered the door and he said, I'm 76 years old, I'm getting kicked out, I got nowhere to go. He's been renting 5 years. He's been a very good tenant.
Yep.
There's 5 women, apparently in their 80s, in 5 cars, sticking together in one place.
Wow.
Homeless, right? There's maybe you shouldn't publish this, but I got 2 women that are staying on our. There's a lot of people desperate out there. I'm hoping things will change, because the government's going to cut back on migration, and that may take the pressure off. Who knows? And cycles do happen.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. But I have to say, I personally have a very soft spot for homeless people.
Yeah, seeing what I saw 2 weeks ago definitely pumped a little bit more sympathy into me. You know, as I said, I'm already like I ride my push bike every day that isn't windy and wet and rainy. I'm on my push bike riding around Bunbury. I've got a really good vibe. I understand the environment of Bunbury, and you know, you see these things. So like most of the time, you see things peripherally that day one you don't pay attention to it. Day two, day three, week one, week two, you're like, oh, there's something going on over here. There's a growing number of people here. There's a lot of energy here. This seems to be not as energetic over here. And you do this long enough and you really understand the ebbs and flows of...
Oh, you're very articulate and you got your finger on the pulse. I wish I could speak like you, mate. I'd do well if I could speak like you. Unfortunately, I've got it in here. I know I'm not a very good presenter, but I can tell you I've got it in here. And if I put it in writing, that's my skill. Yeah,
well, if you want to get better at speaking, talk to a camera for hours at a time. It definitely... You know, I released a podcast. I did this right at the start of my journey, and then I thought I've got a lot of people who don't know, because I've done 180-something podcasts. Over 100 of them are solo, just me talking to the camera. Okay. The first one is horrendous. The 20th one is a little bit better. By the 100th one, I'm not saying I have full thought-out concepts that I'm delivering. And just recently I did a 3-hour solo podcast just explaining from buying a coffee van 11 years ago to doing a solo podcast for 3 hours explaining how I got here. And I thought it was going to be like an hour. I'm like, this would be a cool hour. This happened, that happened, blah, blah, blah. I got to 2.5 hours in. I looked down at the thing. I'm like, oh, I'm not even halfway through the story. I've got to start wrapping this up, you know? And it's that.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I don't know. There's something just so like, and you know, it's scary because people are going to watch this. It's going to live on the internet forever.
Exactly. It's out in the world.
Also, I'm going to change. In a year's time, I'm going to be totally different. In 5 years' time, I might be a father. You know, in 10 years' time, I don't even know if there's going to be some AI thing watching me, interpreting me, replicating me. I don't know what it is. And there's something about being vulnerable in the face of that anxiety and in that thought where you're like, this does live forever, and fuck it, I'm just going to say how I feel and what happened and how I responded. And, you know, like, I don't want to talk about homelessness, but I'm here talking to you, so let's talk about homelessness. And there's something about that alongside the skill of talking that is so freeing, and it, like, I don't know, it lets me figure out who I am in real time. I love it.
I don't know. I'm sure you would be aware of it, but you mentioned young people. I picked this up from, again, because I am a qualified researcher, so I picked it up from a few years ago. And the greatest concerns of people, especially young people, they were talking about environmental or interest rates and that sort of stuff, but the greatest concern from young people was a world war.
Right.
This is based on proper research. And more recently, I'm hearing young people with anxiety quoting the same sort of fear, that they're scared there's going to be some sort of war, right? There's people dying, that sort of thing. So that's actually playing on their mind a lot more than it used to be, because it's all handy. It's all handy, right? And they're seeing it. And they're seeing people die on the screen, on the news.
Oh, we've seen it twice in the past 7 days.
Yes, exactly. So it's really providing fear and anxiety in the community, in the young cohort. So part of my role, whether it's mayor or any other role in civic society, is to try to offer hope to people, especially young people. I do have a strong faith, right? And I think, in my view, I did move a motion at council recently to open our meetings with a prayer, which was declined, to offer people the opportunity to consider that there are other there's a high rate of depression, high rate of mental health, high rate of homelessness, and it's driving a huge amount of fear and anxiety. And one of the reasons I actually moved the motion to put on the councillor Jen, one of the reasons I moved a motion to open our meetings with a prayer is to show people there is an alternative. Everything's unravelling as we're talking about, and people are on the candle up and say, look, there is an alternative here. There is hope. There really is hope. So look at the alternatives.
Yeah, I think I've always believed if you're going to sell something, first you have to make it cool. And I know that's it's a very like brash way to especially respond to what you've just said.
Yeah.
But as someone who has found faith in a contextual way to my experience, I feel it's my job to make it cool.
Yes.
And I think when I unravel that ball of yarn right back to its core, I'm just trying to have this human experience, right? And a lot of people I don't feel zoom out of their life enough to even have that realization. I had that realization quite young. Like I'm having this human experience and I'm trying to really just like extract it for what it is and I want to squeeze the juice out. I want to know what it means. I want to love. I want to have my heart broken. I want to experience everything. I want to have it taken all away. I want to rebuild it. You know, I want to know what it feels like to have all of these. And like there are some human experiences that aren't necessarily as important as the next. You know, like you talked about some horrific things that you've experienced in your life. I'm not hanging out to feel those.
No, you don't want to.
Right?
You don't want to.
But
I wish I never had to.
There is a spectrum of things that I think are worth feeling and experiencing. And like my experience right now, 5 years into business, don't know how I'm going to make pays every week. I'm floating out in the middle of nowhere with people who want me to win, but no real help, right? And I love it. I love it.
Okay, yeah.
I love the idea that people have jobs so they know that pay is going to come in every Thursday night. They've got that security. They've got somewhere to be at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. They know they're going to be home in time for Game of Thrones. It's all good, right? I want the total opposite. I want it to be as hard as possible so that when I get what comes at the other end of that difficulty, that journey, that I get to sit back and go, yes, that's good, and I want more of it, right? That's part of wanting to squeeze the life out of life.
Yeah. You're walking in faith.
Correct. So when people actually want to know and they scratch under the surface and they go, well, and it's part of the reason for this podcast, when they scratch and go, well, what's going on? I've got an answer that's just better than like, I don't know, I wanted to see. Because this book actually has the framework for it.
Absolutely.
It actually answers all the questions. It gives you a set of rules to live by. It gives you an example of someone who's done it. And while it wasn't a life that is 100% contextual to the modern experience of humanity, if you replace some of the words, it actually is. It is. And for me, when people do eventually ask me that question, because I get it more often than I think, it's actually not a question that is as deliberate as what you think it would be. You know, they ask it in different ways. I get to answer it in a way that's cool. And when I answer it in a way that's cool and contextual, you can softly bring them to that truth. But if they ask a question and you go, you need to read your Bible, dude, you fucked it. You ruined the opportunity.
You're right, yeah.
And, you know, I've got a friend who every time, a very close friend, the guy who I went to Lebanon with, every time this topic comes up, I see his eyes glaze over and I'm like, look, dude, I get it. You don't want to have this conversation. And I don't I don't feel a particular way about it, you know, because you've heard me rant about this at 3 o'clock in the morning, you know, drunk as a skunk. And like, you've heard it in every possible way we can have the conversation, and you're tired of that conversation. And I get it. It's only because I'm so passionate about it. And I love this guy that I want to share as much as I can with him. But he also has these other questions that are the beginning of him wanting to zoom out of his life and squeeze as much life out of his experience as possible. And I'm going, cool, you're on step 1. I'm on step like 9 or 10, and there's 1,000 steps. But every step is outlined in the book.
Oh, it's the word of God.
Right?
You can't get much more powerful than that.
So I hear what you're saying. How do you do it in a societal way? How do you do it where you don't, but do you go and give Bibles to everyone? Do you go and door knock and preach the word of God? Do you try and get people to come to church? I don't know what the answer is, but I do know that all of those things have been done so much that they're saturated and they're not cool anymore. And for me, when I try and, because it's our responsibility to talk about the word of God, I try and figure out, well, How's it cool? How's it contextual?
Okay.
And that's my path. And like the evangelicist, whatever the word is, in me is to, in moments like this, like talk about it. And if people listen to it, great. And if it resonates with them, even better. And if they act on it, well, we achieved our goal. But it's to not hide away from these opportunities to make it cool and to make it contextual and to make it interesting and to make it something that doesn't just go into that like, he's Bible bashing, preaching, I don't fucking care, but falls into the category of like, oh, tell me more. Okay. And dude, I think honestly, it's one of those things that's exciting to me.
Yeah, well, it is the Great Commission to go out and preach. Yeah, maybe my method's not not the coolest method, but people know what I am, and I have absolute faith, and it's all based on real revelation, real experience.
Yeah, of course.
So this is not just wishy-washy stuff.
Yeah.
God's got me out of so many situations.
Yeah.
I should be dead 10 times over. Right.
I think it's interesting the role that the classification and like excitement of miracles.
Oh, yes.
I said before the renting thing, you're like, that was a miracle.
Yes.
What classifies a miracle? Well, you tell me. Where would I may potentially still be living in a very nice, but still a caravan after 4 or 5 years of searching. I'm not sure if you looked at the houses you walked in, but it's no caravan, Yeah. This only happened because that happened. And that only happened because by some miracle, the day that we were meant to leave on an Australia-wide trip in our caravan and 4-wheel drive and we had saved up all our money is the day they locked the borders. At the time, it was the worst thing that could have happened. And in retrospect, it was a gift given to us because it made Larissa and I live in that caravan for 18 months with nothing to do. And this business was born. And through this business, every single opportunity that people know about and the ones they don't know about, all the wins and all the failures came from that thing happening. And I spoke about it in that 3-hour solo podcast. My experience over the past 5 years is like a miracle every 3 months. It's crazy. And I don't know what else to thank or blame other than my creator.
Do you believe in fate?
Ooh. Great question.
It goes back to the original thing about cultures.
I think you actually said it. I haven't heard it explained the way you explained it, and it gave me a sort of deeper meaning in my own belief. The cross between having an intention and having an ideal result is important because it gives you goalposts, but to not trip yourself up while living intuitively and doing the work that is relevant at the time, I sit somewhere in the middle as well. Yeah. Because I believe as soon as you set hard goals, then you choke opportunity. And I think as soon as you don't take goals seriously, you lose momentum.
Yeah, look, if I have a very strong feeling that God wants me to do something, I don't sit back. I go 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, exactly.
If I know that I know.
Yep.
Yes. However, having the flexibility to have the opportunity and not be stuck into what they call the uncertainty avoidance, which is a psychological trait, right, in the West. Well, it's very interesting to know your background.
Yeah, it's just
miracles happen all the time.
Yeah,
and I couldn't go out there and say that, but to me, everything in my life is a miracle. It really is.
Oh, this is unrelated but related. Something I like to think about. I like to think about like I'm going to say like 1 to 3 months. It seems to be a relevant thing. Is the value of novelty. So I set myself these routines, and my routine has to constantly be changing. And I actually think this might be based on how I was raised. Between being born and 10 years old, I moved like every 6 to 12 months all over the Northwest and had a really interesting sort of upbringing in that respect. My dad was in transport, so we were always opening and revamping transport yards. And that constant movement, I sort of never stopped. Like, even though I would be stagnant in a place for maybe, I grew up in the house that I grew up in Jalorup for, 18 years. Once we moved here, it was 18 years. My dad's only just recently sold that house. I would still change the outlay of my room like every 3 months,
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And even like our workshop, I want to say like 1 to 3 months, we have a major upgrade. Like just recently I've done the flooring and then built a wall and we put up the lights and I moved the machine. It was facing northwest, now it's facing, north-south, now it's facing south-north. And it's this like love of novelty that if you continuously are making things fresh, then you always get a chance to like shake the water off you when you get out of the ocean. You get this chance to go like, well, who am I when I face this way instead of that way when I work? And what does the workflow of our production line look like when we, take things from this end and put it down that end? Well, what if we put power over here? What if we get more light over there? Okay, I'm finding that we both feel happier in our work environment when we have more light in the area. Okay, cool. What else can we do that would... And there's something so like, as I said, it's not related, but it is related. There's such a value to novelty. And even in like, if you go back 6 months ago, I had a very strict, like I would wake up, read my Bible for 30 minutes, read one of my other books for 30 minutes, meditate for 20 minutes, and then start working. At the moment, I wake up, hydrate, and immediately start working. And I read my Bible another time.
Okay.
It's having the discipline and the routine, but also the novelty of not doing the same thing for too long, because then you don't get too embroiled by that belief as to that is who you are.
Yeah, I mean, you got to leave room for God to act. It's like if I want to go to Perth, get in the car, drive point A to B, don't consider anything else. Close the windows and that's it. Or you can go for a journey to Perth. You might pick up someone who's had a broken car, help them out. So you've already gone outside that plan that you've already planned. And that guy or girl, she might be related to Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Who wants to come and invest in Western Australia. They're the opportunities. So to me, a journey, I can tell you my journey of life so far, if I was all strict and completely 100% planned without flexibility, I probably would have only met about 10% of the people I've met and loved.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm open to God, and I really, I think God can work amazing outcomes.
Part of the open mentality, or what do we call it? Allowing room for that potential creates that potential as well.
It allows room for exponential, because God works where man can't work. He is the God of the impossible. We're not going to, proposal comes to Bunbury, for example. They want to build a $10 million apartment, and it doesn't add up. Someone else comes along and says, well, no, just have a bit of faith, it'll work. They start the project, they haven't got the money. Someone else comes along and says, oh, I'm very interested in investing. I'm from Singapore. Yeah. So in my view, it's I think you mentioned the word intent and motivation. It's far greater than the actual process.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, I've said this plenty of times on the podcast, so forgive me to the listeners, but if you rewound 5 years and said that this is what my day looks like today 5 years ago, I would have laughed at you. Like, what do you mean? Like, today we're talking about how we're going to adjust our campaign for our uniform supply and print business, and alongside that, how we're going to reintroduce Black Ink as a brand and the clothing. Alongside that, how we're going to market the podcast, and the fact that I'm 180 podcasts deep and I'm talking to a mayor candidate. Like, what? But the intent was always just to not have a boss and to spend as much time as I possibly could with my fiance. Well, at the time, girlfriend, now fiance. And just with those two parameters in place, look at where it's ended up. So now I'm just, I try and like create like semi-educated pathways for people through sharing my story to go like, hey, have a bit of faith. And not even the spiritual side of it is that important, because I feel like that comes organically when you have a bit of faith in yourself. You start going like, well, now I scratch the surface. I want what's underneath the table, you know? But alongside that is also like, well, what would you want? If you could really have anything, what would you want? And then put that as a goalpost and start moving towards it. Because I feel like most people, majority of people, live silent lives of desperation, not actually even knowing what they want. I think that they assume that because they were marketed the Frank Green bottle or whatever it is, or the this car or this experience, that, oh, now I've got to go to Europe and all the rest. I think most people, if they sat down and just were silent with themselves for 15 minutes a day, they would learn a plethora of things that would open up opportunities in their life that are fully attainable in a short time frame, but they just don't have the conversation with themselves to begin with.
It's interesting, what we want out of life, isn't it? I mean, if you look at people like Bill Gates or Warren Buffett, they worked, invested, developed, invented, built, and made billions and billions. And when they got to those ends of the billions of billions, they found nothing, and they started giving it away.
Yeah. The reward is the journey.
I think the journey is,
Yeah.
Journey, yes.
100%. Like, as much as I'm in the middle of...
And also, Jake, putting others first.
Pull that microphone right up. This is important.
So, helping others, putting others first, putting everybody else before you. And again, it's probably almost biblical. But if you help others, you will get helped yourself.
100%.
It's an investment.
I guess that's a good tenet you'd want from a mayor. Getting back to the original.
Yeah, well, that's probably it's something. I'm going to put all the other emotions aside. The motivation, the intent, the reasons. I just have a fundamental instinct that I want to help others. And if I can get in a position to help, fine. If I can't, I'll have to find something else.
I still feel even if you're not in that position, you're still gonna find a way to help people. Like that is Gabi. That's what it feels like talking to you now.
Yeah.
What would you say? I asked these questions to Jason as well. What would you say are your real core strengths as a person, as a human, if you're elected into that role?
Yeah. Look, the skills, I think everybody can get skills. If you wanted me to talk about myself, and I find it difficult to do that, about my character, I suppose, probably overwhelming empathy, care, passion, a deep sense of understanding. I feel people, I really do.
Yeah.
And because of those things, it creates a real urge to help. It really does.
Yeah.
That I have to do something. I can't just drop not helping someone who's come to me. So it is that, probably empathy is probably the biggest one.
Do you find that empathy causes, like, you must have a backpack of weight that you carry around with you, not from just your life experience, but from talking to these people and taking on their problems so seriously?
I take them on very seriously to the point where I get in trouble. But I can't let them go. People need help. And to drop them, it's almost a sin. They've come to me for help, and they're struggling, they're in pain, they need help, the kids are in danger, all that sort of thing. Sickness. I think it's having empathy is also a burden.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a 50-50.
Yeah. So there's a good side, but there's also a bad side in that you're right. gets very draining if someone's coming to you for help and you're trying to help them and you're not getting anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It happens in some cases.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking specifically about council here. I'm talking generally.
Yeah, of course.
Like this poor homeless guy. I'm trying to find him accommodation or a mental health facility, let alone food and shelter.
I know
and that was very difficult.
Yeah. In instances of like DV and interpersonal situations where people have come to me for help, and the situations where you can offer as much as you possibly can and it still sometimes won't be received, can't be received, and you have to, the only resolution you have with yourself is like, I feel like I did everything I could, and then even living with the weight of that, on top of the fact that, this person's in a bad position or they're uncomfortable or they're unsafe, and you're like, not only that, but I can't help them,
It's pretty interesting. It goes back probably into our DNA in a way, to my background, family background. As I said, we migrated here 54 years ago, but my parents, in my parents' house, the door was always open. We would bring people in off the street. Yeah, the generosity of my dad, he's passed away now, my mum, would bring people off the street, go in there. You've probably seen it in Lebanon. So right from when we were young, we'd bring people in off the street. Mum and dad would spread a table for them. No questions asked. Who are they? That is the gratitude they have.
Yeah, it's something that I don't know. You just don't see in Bunbury. Don't see in Bunbury. Sorry, you don't see in Australia. Like, it's just, I know a lot of people who are very generous, and I do know a handful of people who would, without question, offer things like that. But I know, like, I was just, that forced me to have a moment with myself there. Like, would I do that? And if I'm honest, the answer is no, because I've never seen it done. Yeah. My family didn't do that. And also, I'm so scared to lose, like, I've worked so hard and I've let friends into my life, that sleep on the couch, do the thing, and just been taken advantage of time and time again. I mean, one of my biggest faults is putting people on pedestals and assuming that they have the same morals and values and ethics as me, and then learning the hard way that they don't. Yeah. And so if I can't do that with friends, how do I do that with strangers? But we're also talking about completely different demographics, completely different experiences and countries.
Yeah, well, even to the point now where I'm married, of course, and to beautiful Rita, and we have kids, and that continues. Our door's always open, and there's always someone coming in, and both Rita and I, we feed them, and we make sure they pack food for them when they leave. Take this and take that. Having said that, the compassion in Australian and Bunbury society is amazing. I've door knocked 3,000 houses and businesses in the last 12 months. And earlier on, the homelessness issue was the main priority, and people were saying to me, fix it, fix it. They had genuine compassion. Especially as we were going through winter, the feedback was really, you can feel almost the syrup of compassion in the people opening their doors and talking to me. You got to fix the homelessness. I can't fix it. I can advocate, but there's compassion out there. People are just, Australian people are real. I'm not going to say soft, but they really are. They have a lot of love, and compassion, towards others.
Definitely compassionate people for sure.
Yeah,
I feel like that's a core sort of a core vibe. It's not the right word, but core vibe of being Australian is like really knowing your neighbour and having that relationship.
Yeah. And that was coming through very strongly. Very strongly.
Following your strengths, what would you say is some weaknesses you might carry into the role?
I don't know if that's a weakness or not, but I love a lot. I have deep love, and that may be a weakness.
I think even on the back of what you said before, in its own right, being over empathetic is also could be classified as a weakness. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, obviously, as I said before we got recording, you know, it's a bizarre aspiration to want to be the mayor to begin with, because it's an interesting role that you're putting yourself directly in the crosshairs for criticism, for praise, for everything in between. You're faced with extreme exposure to what's going on in your community, good and bad. And yeah, it's it's just such an interesting thing. You know, like I still can't fathom putting my hand up to be on council, let alone mayor, and to see who's on council now, who's putting their name up for council, and now that I'm familiarising myself more with the role of mayor, it's just like such an interesting position. One thing I do have to address, because it's something that's brought up to me. I've seen it on social media, and it's been brought up to me a couple of times since knowing that you're going to come on the podcast. Speak to me about attendance.
Sure. Now, there's limited things I could tell you.
I don't want you to feel uncomfortable.
Okay, some of the meetings I missed are for personal reasons, right? Whether it was illness, or my kids needed me in Perth, or there was other circumstances. But I have on multiple occasions requested, to do with the meetings I missed, to be provided the right that I have to attend those meetings online.
Okay.
So all but one of those requests have been declined by council.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Because obviously they're live streamed.
Yeah, you can see some of the voting.
Yep.
So that's, so what I'm telling you is what's on the public record.
Yeah.
I've requested to attend meetings online, and council in their rightful decision-making authority that they have declined all but one.
Yep.
And I have to abide by that decision. So that's one of the reasons.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. Look, as I said, it's one of those things that I can't not address. Yeah, for sure. So what's your...
and by the way, we have, according to the Local Government Act, we can attend up to 50% of meetings online.
Right.
And it's council discretionary decision to allow it or not.
Okay. Yeah. I think the vibe there is all going your way. You're the mayor. Can the constituents expect the mayor to be at the council meetings, at least majority of the meetings moving forward? Would you say that's something that they could come to expect?
Well, I would be available full time. Otherwise, I wouldn't be going for it. I would be available full time, mayor. Full time.
Yeah. Do you think that attendance is more or less important being a councillor or a mayor?
Oh, it's certainly more important to be mayor, to attend as mayor.
Yeah. What's the...
But councillors don't have to, by regulation, attend briefings.
Okay.
And I've been more inclined to attend the meetings that are public.
Right.
And again, because I love democracy.
Because the briefings are councillors only?
Are the strategic briefings.
Yeah, they're behind closed doors. Yeah, interesting. Okay. Yeah, right. So the... there's something before this as well. The amount of seats is less this time, isn't it, for councillors?
Yeah, there's 6 positions
at
the moment, but we're going down to 4. Half the council's coming back from 6 to 4, so we're losing 2 positions.
Interesting. And there's a good... Because are you running for mayor and council positions?
Yes, both positions, yes.
There's like a good amount of people running for council.
I'm dedicated to the point where I'm running for both positions.
Yeah, for sure. Also, if you don't make mayor, you'd organically still want to be on council.
Well, I'd like to still be able to help.
Yeah.
if people decide to put me there.
Absolutely. Have you had a chance to look at some of the new candidates who are running?
I've read, probably read most of their bios.
Yeah. I know. Seeing Sam Morris's name.
I know Sam. Yeah.
That's like, I haven't had a lot to do with Sam. Every time I peripherally know Sam. Like, Taffy's. I know he's been a teacher. I know he's been involved in 100, probably 1,000 different things around town, and you only hear good things about him. I was genuinely taken aback when I saw his name and face. I'm like, oh, that's exciting. I'd like to get him on the podcast and have a chat with him just to get to know the guy, Yeah. There's also, I really should know her name because I've referenced her a bunch in my podcast with Jason. There's a girl who's studying, a young lady who's studying, and she's...
Courtney.
Is it Courtney? But yeah, regardless, like green, fresh, like new eyes.
Yeah.
It'd be very interesting to, as someone who I still feel green and fresh, and if I were to put my name in the hat for that position, I personally would feel intimidated. And yeah, I just feel like kudos for putting her name in the hat and saying like, yeah, I want to have a shot at that. What do you think the role the age plays in this scenario?
Diversity is very good. Where there's cultural diversity, age diversity, experience diversity. Group dynamics where the output of the group is greater than the power of the individual separately. So more diversity, the better. And personally, again, because I love democracy, the more candidates, whether it's for mayor or councillors, the more the better. I've encouraged people to run for
sure. For sure.
I really believe the more the better.
With that said, I've got a mate who's a year or two younger than me, and he sits on the, you probably know him, Jack Manoni. He sits on the Shire of Dardanup Council.
I might know Jack, yeah.
Yeah, just like, Jack and I used to party together. We've had heaps of experiences together, and I'm like, dude, just fucking crazy that you do that. And he's just water off a duck's back. He's like, yeah, I'd read the documents, have my opinion, I do the thing, I do everything right. And You're like, yep, I guess it all makes sense. But yeah, it's just, and Jason said much the same thing, like you want to have a nice wide pool of people to choose from so you get a really clear idea of what the town actually wants. Because if you've got 6 positions and 7 people are running, it doesn't really give you a clear idea. It just says out of the people who are running, 90% of them are going to get selected, Yeah. If you've got 6 seats, was it 4? Do you say 4 seats are up for grabs?
So we've got 12 candidates for 4 seats.
Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, well, it's great. I reckon it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I think Busselton's got 16 for 6 seats.
Really?
4 seats. Yeah.
Wow.
This morning, I think it was 16. So I love it. I really do.
That's super
Makes my day when I see more people putting their hands up.
Well, it just means like you're getting a greater selection of people taking the shit seriously, because that's what this is about.
Casting a bigger net, yes.
I put a story up this morning. Normally I do a Monday motivation every Monday on my Black Ink page. This morning was voting has started. Learn who the candidates are and vote. The people who are already voting, you know this, but the people who aren't voting, which is like 60% of the population, vote. And if you have a problem with something later on down the track and you didn't vote, shut up. If you vote and someone gets in that you did or didn't want, and then something happens down the track that you don't like, you have every right to be able to say, hey, respectfully, this is what's going on. Can I have my say? Can I do this? Rah, rah, rah. But I mean, the concept that someone would complain about something to do with their city just because they live in it after not voting seems almost juxtaposed.
Well, I mean, it's okay to complain. What I would recommend is people, when they comment or complain, just get the facts. Give everybody the opportunity to have a say about if you're going to comment about them. Give them a right of reply, I suppose, or procedural fairness. Have some facts, because if you can make a comment on social media without facts and it's wrong, you can destroy people.
Yeah.
Right. So get the facts.
Have you? You've obviously received, just naturally through the role, criticism for whether it be running for mayor or decisions you've made on council. How do you internally deal with that criticism?
Well, I am naturally a sensitive person, But I believe I have spiritual strength. But interestingly, when I was running for this council 4 years ago, and I'm a Christian person, there was one person, I guess, trying to make me lose some votes. He puts on there on a big Facebook post, I think 10,000 followers or something. We don't want this Gabi guy. He's until he renounces his Islamic jihadist faith.
Really?
So that didn't help at all. And then recently again, when I had this motion at council, someone said, "Oh, he's going to pray to his Allah, council." That's fine. But if they call me, I would have explained to them, I carry a little Bible with me of the Christian faith.
I think you find that same person probably doesn't understand the different cultures and spirituality either. Yeah. Usually those comments and allegations come from complete ignorance, not from an educated background, Yeah, well, I
guess that's the looseness of the internet and the Facebook. You got to take it with a grain of salt. But thank God, so far they haven't come against my family. But making comments about my Islamic jihadist faith, I don't have any issues with people who are Muslim or Jewish, or in fact, I've got friends in all faith. But if you start throwing stones like that could stick to a family, that's pretty serious stuff.
Yeah, it's just like...
And I have to say the other night as well, I didn't pick it up, but my daughter did, that I was making a comment about door knocking, right? I think my wife made a comment about door knocking, but someone put a comment on Facebook. And then someone says, "Oh, these people should stay on their side of the fence, or on their side of the border." I thought, what the hell is that all about? I've been here 54 years. I've really worked my guts off, and so has our family, for this community. And someone making that sort of comment, I can take it, but, if you're referencing our family, that's a bit rough. It's a bit silly, really.
Yeah, well, I think hence the reason I sort of wanted to open with, you're Australian.
Oh, absolutely.
You are Australian. I think, it's just I don't know whether it's I was having this conversation with a politician, I guess you could say, the other day, about how there's this sort of subconscious racism that seems to be part of the Australian culture. A lot of people are going to push back, like, cool, man. I'm talking about, born in the 70s, 80s and 90s. It was, whether it was in a joking way or something, but there was an inherent racism that lived in the background of pretty much every scenario that Australia, beautifully, to Australians, whatever you want to call it, Australians have weeded that out step by step. And I think it still exists, for sure still exists, that racism. But I think that there's something that I don't know what the catalyst is. I don't know what the barbs in people are, but I think there's just something that it's almost like, I'm going to shoot myself in the foot by saying what I'm thinking, so I don't want to say it. It's it's fashionable. You know what I mean? He looks different. Let's throw shade on the name. Get back to your own. It's all right, dude, do you actually think that? Do you care enough about Gabi that even if it was true, you would say it to his face? Because I think most people know. But I think in a position where they're sitting there with a can in one hand and their phone in the other, and they can say something, they can comment because they have a Facebook account, right?
Yeah. Well, that comment about the Islamic jihadist faith or whatever. I mean, this guy had a rebel flag and on his Facebook page. But I counted it. I don't normally. In that case, I had to for my family's sake. I took a video in front of a church saying, I'm actually a Christian, but I don't have any issue with any other faith. So, having said that, we've been here 54 years. Thank God, every day the Bunbury community has welcomed us in open arms, and we are.
Yeah, of course.
And we are the Bunbury community.
Yeah. Yeah, so, you've now been here so long, you are the Bunbury community,
well,
exactly.
I have to say, beyond that, I really feel that Bunbury Bunbury community, Bunbury people, is my family, my extended family. I really do.
Yeah. I'm glad.
And I'll fight for them. I'll fight for them.
100%.
Work hard for them.
Well, I think we've covered everything we're going to cover. Is there anything that you would like to address or sign off on?
Not particular. I guess, we've mentioned that one of my drivers is empathy. I am a person of faith. I love Bunbury. I love the community. I treat the community. I count the community as family. I'm putting my name forward. If it's meant to be, fine. If it's not meant to be, then there'll be something else for me. So whether mayor or councillor or something else, I'm certainly, congratulations to all the people putting their hands up, because it's not an easy task running for office.
Agree.
It's, you have to be pretty brave sometimes. So, yeah, I love Bunbury and I love the community. And any negatives out there, there's probably some negatives. More recently there was, I'm not sure if you could think about not putting this on, but I'll just tell you straight out, there was a bit of anti-Semitism around.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. In Bunbury?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And but to finish off on a good note, I'm hoping you'll take that out, because I probably shouldn't say that.
I'm going to give you an audio file that you need to go through and flag everything you don't want, because typically I don't edit anything out.
I know. It's just so to finish off, I've done what I've believe God's put in my heart to do. I'm nominated. I'm hoping that I'm reading this correctly. I'm not expecting any outcomes. What will be. But I'm certainly doing it out of love, out of respect, out of compassion, empathy. And I really feel very strongly about Bunbury, to the point where I put everything aside, and quite often I put my family aside to serve this community. So I'm going for it, mayor or councillor.
Beautiful.
And what will be, will be.
What will be, will be. Well, I wish you the very best of luck. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thanks, Jake.
And everyone else, be good to your mum, because we are out.